that the really successful ones, or actually let's start with the not so successful ones, as success increases and dollars increase, he found out that the not so successful ones spent the majority of their money on management productivity, and the more successful ones spent the majority of their money on operational productivity applications. Right? Now, this was not very pleasant for me to read because I spent the first 10 years of my life on management productivity, which was PCs. Right? PCs and Macs never attacked operational productivity. They just attacked management productivity. Why is that? Because you can't go down to your local computer store and buy an app that will help you do stock trading, or will help you run a hospital, or will help you in whatever operational part of your business you want to automate. Right? Unless you're a very, very small business, then you could run some accounting packages. But other than that, if you're a medium-sized or large business, these things never attacked operational productivity. So we zoom out and we say, how have people attacked operational productivity with information technology? Well, in the 60s, they bought a mainframe and they got some terminals and a bunch of COBOL programmers and they wrote a few apps. And most of them were kind of backroom apps. And it sort of worked for the very few that could afford to do this. In the 70s, they got a mainframe and some terminals and they did the same thing. And a few of them got a few mini computers and terminals and tried to do it a little cheaper. In the 80s, nothing changed. Mainframe and terminals, minis and terminals, until maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. What happened 2 or 3 years ago was that the front office started to realize that they needed operational apps so bad that they couldn't depend on the MIS folks anymore. And they started taking life into their own hands and sometimes working with the MIS folks to start downsizing and getting some servers and running some industry standard databases like Sybase or Oracle in the servers, and making a little local area network, and getting maybe some Sun workstations, and spending about 2 years writing some mission critical operational applications like trading apps for Wall Street. Perfect example. And it kind of worked. And the reason that they needed to do this was because more and more they were discovering that things like new products required a custom operational application. An example, if you're in financial services and you come up with a new product, it's only 3 things. It's an idea, it's a sales force, and it's a custom app to bang on databases to make the product real, to do the mortgage swaps or whatever it is you want to do. Without the app, you don't have a product. And so there's been an increasing buildup of demand from the front parts of corporations to create more and more and more of these operational applications. And I think it's going to get to the point where this becomes fairly clear that this is the next big revolution in desktop computing, is to create these, to attack the operational productivity, and as we start to re-engineer the way we do things, to automate a lot of this in custom applications. Sounds a little strange now to most people. Sounds like desktop publishing did in 1985. Nobody knew what it was. Everybody thought it was kind of a strange vertical thing over there. But my guess is it's pretty horizontal. And we're attacking vertical markets now that know they want this. And it's going extremely well. Sun is the only company that's really had any success at this. And we're knocking them out of the box because we came up with this software called NextStep, which lets you build apps 5 to 10 times faster than anything anyone's ever seen. And after you build them, they're deployable and usable by mere mortals because it's really easy to use, this computer. And you can interoperate your custom apps seamlessly with a bunch of off-the-shelf productivity apps. So we go to these companies that use Suns and take 2 years to write their apps, or are thinking about using Suns, and they can write their apps in about 90 days on the Next. Now, if you're on Wall Street and you can create a new product in 90 days versus your competitor in 2 years, that's 8 new products you can field for their every one. And you can start to see the competitive advantage that can be created this way. Now, we had no idea that we were any good at this when we started Next. A lot of times you don't know what your competitive advantage is when you launch a new product. Let me give you a historical example. When we created them, how many of you guys use Macs? Any of you? Good. How many of you have seen a Next? Oh, how many of you use a Next? Oh, that's not so bad. We'd like to change that ratio. We're on the right track anyway. When we did the Macintosh, we never anticipated desktop publishing when we created the Mac. Sounds funny, because that turned out to be the Mac's compelling advantage, right? The thing that it did, not 1.5 or 2 times better than everything else, but 4 or 5 times better than anything else, where you had to have one. We never anticipated it. We anticipated bitmap displays and laser printers, but we never thought about PageMaker or that whole industry really coming down to the desktop. Maybe we weren't smart enough. But we were smart enough to see it start to happen 9 to 12 months later. And we changed our entire marketing and business strategy to focus on desktop publishing, and it became the Trojan horse that eventually got the Mac into corporate America, where it could show its owners all the other wonderful things it could do. Likewise, when we created NextStep, this revolutionary object-oriented software that we have, our target customer, coming from the PC world, where shrink-wrapped apps were king, was Lotus and Adobe and WordPerfect and all the shrink-wrapped apps developers. And the purpose was to let them create their apps 5 to 10 times faster, these shrink-wrapped apps. And it worked. We have a ton of shrink-wrapped apps now, best of breed in almost every category. But it wasn't until early in '91, early last year, a little over a year ago, that some really big companies came to us and said, you don't understand what you've got. The same software that allows Lotus to create their apps 5 to 10 times faster is letting us build our in-house mission-critical apps 5 to 10 times faster. And this is the biggest problem we've had. This is a huge problem for every big company and almost all medium-sized companies, and you have the solution in your hands, and you dummies don't even know it. And it took them about 3 months before we finally heard it. And in last summer, we changed our whole sales and marketing strategy around to focus on that, and it's taken off like a rocket.